Welcome back to the Goal2Go podcast, man. Episode 43, NBA Finals right upon us, man. Starting this week. Recording here on a Tuesday night, man. It's 7:40. NBA Finals kick off Thursday night, man. Denver Nuggets against the hometown Miami Heat, man. Checking in just after Game 7 last night, man. How you doing?
I'm all right, man. You're the Heat fan. How you feeling?
Top of the world for about 2 days, man, until we got the Joker to face. So I just want to say before we kick this off, I did say that I'm not scared of the Nuggets heading into the playoffs. I recant my statement, man. I'm scared, okay? I'm just going to leave it at that. I was a little bit wrong. Just gonna leave it at that, man, because...
Yeah, you probably didn't think the Heat would be playing them in the finals, like in the beginning of the playoffs. Like,
nah, man, not even close. Losing to the Hawks and then the Bulls game, like, I remember sitting there like 5 minutes left. I'm like, the season's over. I was like, next season. I say that every year, and they made a little run, man. I said even when they made it against the Bucks, I'm like, bro, the Bucks are gonna take care of business. It didn't happen. You going in the next round, handle business. And now, I mean, looking great. Heading into the finals just after a little 7-game series against the Celtics, man. Came down to the wire when it really didn't need to. We'll talk about it. But I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. So let's jump into that Game 7, man. Last night, Heat took the first 3. Celtics bounced back. Obviously, Game 6, we didn't get to talk about it yet. Derek White, little tipping at the buzzer. You said it's going to be forever forgotten now, huh?
I mean, that's how this stuff always goes, man. If they win and go on to the finals, and considering Derek White was probably the best player for the Celtics in Game 7, like, does he go down as a Celtics legend if they win? Possibly, with arguably, not a Boston, sports fanatic, so I'm not too sure, like, the history of big plays, but that Derek White tip-in, if they win, definitely has to be up there. But they lost, so now that play is just kind of going to be forgotten in, basketball history. I mean, the only people that are really going to remember, the fans of each teams. But if the Celtics go on to win, I think, that shot is replayed a bunch of times. Derek White's legacies through the roof. He's the main reason they're in the finals because, Tatum ended up getting hurt. Jaylen Brown, we'll talk about, didn't have his best performance in Game 7 or that series. So Derek White was kind of their offense. But, yeah, now the shot will just be forgotten and we'll bring it up and laugh at it.
Yeah. I think someone compared it to David Ortiz's game-tying grand slam. I think it was in the ALCS back in the day. I mean, yeah, we'll remember it. Heat fans... Sure, of course, Celtics fans going to remember it, and Derek White, his family, definitely going to remember that. But it's kind of like if Kawhi hit that shot in like a, Game 6 where it tied up the series and then it went on a loss, you're probably not sitting there talking about Kawhi's shot anymore.
Well, Kawhi's shot, that was Game 7.
Yeah, it was. I'm saying like if it was like a Game 6. Like
I see, yeah.
I'm trying to think like Ray Allen, like, if he hit that shot in Game 6 and the Heat went on to lose Game 7.
It was a good game. That Game 7 wasn't a blowout.
No, it was a blowout. I'm pretty sure.
No, I know LeBron had a really good game in that Game 7, but I thought it was closer than what it was like. It wasn't a blowout, that Heat versus Spurs Game 7. It was still a decently close game. I'm pretty sure.
I think it was kind of like the Celtics game. Like, it was close. Okay. It was a 7-point game. Or even if they went on to lose Game 6 in overtime, because that only sent the game to overtime.
Yeah, it wasn't a game winner.
Yeah. But that's definitely up there in the history books. Trying to think.
Regardless, it's still a crazy shot. Like,
no doubt. You get into should never been enough time. The Heat beat the Eric Lewis allegations, the Tony brothers, the Scott Foster.
Well, on that, there should have been time on that tip-in.
What?
You talking about the Derek White play?
Yeah.
There should have been time.
What do you mean?
You talking about when they went back and put the time back on the clock?
Yeah, the earliest contact was 2.5 seconds.
Well, I know I saw like a clip or whatever saying that if Missoula never challenges, that time doesn't go back on the clock because if the refs just reviewed like the foul, they can't go back and add time. But since it was a coach's challenge, then that gives them the ability to go back and look at the time and add the time back on the clock. So, I mean, just because Missoula actually, used one of his timeout or challenge and kind of didn't have a choice because of the like last play of the game. But I think, I mean, like you said, it's ticky-tack. Like,
bro,
when did it really happen? I mean, it kind of looked like, if you want to talk about it wasn't time, like, did Jimmy really get fouled on the shot? The contact looked like it was kind of before he put it up. So, like, it could have gone either way. I
agree.
I mean, I think at that point, when it's that close, like, the game's down to the line, I think you kind of just got to let it ride out and just go with your decision.
Yeah. I'm going to, bro, because at the end of the day, after that game 6, bro, people were complaining about I'm like, bro, it's the NBA. These refs out here to make horrible calls. I've seen it all my life. Like, this shit never has been 100% right. So it's like, you kind of expect it going into the game. Like,
it's funny. Like, everyone always complains, like, oh, like, the calls are so bad. Like, NBA's in a like horrible spot. But, like, I don't know, like in our lifetime, like I can't remember like when was there a good calls like when have
I don't think there's ever been a good call, bro.
When have the refs ever made the right call? Like I don't know. It just seems like it is what it is at this point, bro.
Yeah, bro. It's officials being officials of the NBA, like
unless they do like some crazy shit, like which I don't think will happen. Like if like refs get like fined for a certain amount of bad calls or like
robo refs.
No, that'd be stupid. But like if the refs can be penalized for like certain calls, I think that might kind of change it. But I don't think they'll ever go that far.
Even if they they're still bound to make a mistake. Like I guess like you could get into whatever you want. Games are rigged.
But there's still gonna be mistakes.
It's way too deep into that. I also saw before we talk about Game 7, they were talking about. Saw a little Celtics fan in the comments of a post. He was like, "Oh, if Tatum healthy in Game 7, we blow out the Heat and we win the series." And then someone replied, "Yeah, they're like if the Heat boxed out Derek White, they would have won in 6." Like playing those if, ands, or buts, it's
true.
not gonna get you anywhere.
Although
like if this, like
the box out comment it makes sense, but like it wasn't really. I'm not mad at like the not boxing out or whatever because
I'm not.
If you watch the play, like bro, Max Strus's job wasn't to be like, okay, make sure to box out and get this rebound. It was like, bro,
shot.
It was like, don't let Jason Tatum shoot this ball. Like if you look, they tried to. Derek White was inbounding, tried to get it to Tatum. Strus like was basically face guarding him and like didn't let Tatum get the ball. So they had to defer to Marcus Smart throwing up a prayer, which almost went in.
Almost did.
I mean. If I'm Max Strus, like, and he made a really good effort to get back and contest the shot, and he almost blocked it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't really ask for more on Max Strus. It's not like he was sitting there and, like, had the opportunity to box out and just didn't. He was doing something completely different. So, the box out, that stuff is really, like, I'd rather you lose on a Derek White fucking buzzer beater, tip-in miracle shot than you let Jason Tatum catch it and get a clean look. Like,
I agree with you, but in a sense, like, if he didn't get it, like he were 0.2 seconds away, like I think that's what that.
No, I know that.
I'm not saying
Yeah, I'm just talking about in general, like on that play. I'm just talking about like what was going on in that play.
No, I agree. I also think it should have been Highsmith on the court instead of but we'll get that's coaching. You
like Highsmith's defense better than Max Strus?
Yeah.
Well, because like you got to think on that play, he was there for defense, not like to grab a rebound.
Yeah. I still like Highsmith's defense over.
I mean, bro, Strus did his job, bro. They denied Tatum the ball, so I mean, once you do that, like, yeah.
I'm just saying, like Strus isn't really like a defender like Highsmith is, but Strus isn't like a horrible defender, but he's not a great defender, and I think Highsmith is a great defender. You kind of saw it in Game 7.
So like, what you think? Like Highsmith, like grabs that rebound or something?
He's got a couple more. Maybe, bro. I'm just saying, like, I just didn't like how Strus was in for a defensive set. Like, that's not.
I mean, I guess, but I mean, he did his job. Like he
I'm not saying like it's his fault. I'm just
I'm saying like what he was in the game to do, like he did, like he accomplished it. Like,
obviously
denied Tatum the ball. So I mean, like I don't know, like what else, like why, like I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I mean it's just the personnel, man. You got one possession to play defense. I think Haywood Highsmith should be in that type of role. I mean that's the type of player he is.
I thought, yeah. Well, in Game 7, they were kind of like, they usually go to him like for offense, like because he has like a shot. Like,
I mean, that's not really what he's known. Like regular season, like he's just like a 3-and-D guy, bro. He's a defender. He's got length to him.
He's got effort, bro.
Yeah, he got hurt. That's definitely it. I mean, you saw him. I don't think you saw it. He poked the ball out.
I did see that.
Oh, okay. He poked the ball.
To, Jimmy.
No, he threw it to Vincent.
Vincent, yeah.
You saw how quick he just passed the rock off because he's not a scorer, bro. Like, he's in that game just to, like you said, play effort. And people with effort, they play high-intensity defense. That's what they're on the floor to do. But Game 7, man, obviously Tatum rolls his ankle. First play of the game. Really a non-factor the whole game. Couldn't move, whatever. The Celtics kept it close, though. I mean, the Heat were up like 15 in a second. Celtics kind of shortened the lead down, I think, to 10, maybe 9, halftime. Third quarter, that's when the Heat pulled the stops out. And you really saw, obviously, Caleb Martin. Jimmy Butler had a good game. He was hitting some threes, getting to a bag that he's not used to, considering his kind of close-range game wasn't all there. Once again, I mean, he missed a wide open like bunny baseline floater.
Yeah.
But he knocked down some threes. Gabe Vincent knocked down some good shots. Kyle Lowry, I think, hit a three. I think Duncan Robinson has been the second best, I mean, not really best, but most surprising player in this series. He's been able to shoot it. He's been able to attack the rim on some good cut actions. I mean, with Duncan, you overplay him. You play him high because he's a shooter. At least that paint opens sometimes when you spread the floor. So, good to see Duncan get it going. Going to need it against the Nuggets. Who's your favorite player to watch this series?
In the Celtics Heat, or coming up in the in this past Celtics Heat series? I think like the obvious
one from each team.
The obvious answer would have to be Caleb Martin, man. Like elevating his game. I think like throughout the season he averaged like 9 points or some shit like that. And then in this playoff series, he was against the Celtics. He was averaging like damn near 20. So I mean, to see that jump, you know, the way he was able to take over games, and you kind of mentioned, and in Game 7, the Celtics, they were kind of fighting back. You know, Derek White, he was basically carrying the Celtics in the third quarter. A couple times, I think they brought the game within like 7 points or something like that. It was close.
I think it was 5 or 7. Yeah.
Whenever they brought it close, it was Caleb Martin with the ball, Caleb Martin going down and scoring. Like, whenever the Heat needed a play on the offensive side down the stretch during Game 7, like, Caleb Martin was the guy to go to. And when we were watching the game, I was like, bro, and he was guarding like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on defense. I'm like, bro, get Caleb Martin off of him. Like, they need him for offense, but like he's guarding the team's best players on defense, and then he's going down and scoring the ball. So he was affecting the game both ways, giving effort both sides. I think, and we talked about it, like I feel like he probably should have won Conference Finals MVP because throughout that series, he was pretty much the best player for the Miami Heat. But, you know, Jimmy also had a really good game. He was a big reason why the Heat won. But ultimately, I just think the Caleb Martin, you know, coming to life party was fun to watch in this Eastern Conference Finals. And I saw the voting. He got 4 votes out of the 9. So Jimmy Butler only won the MVP by 1 vote, which was pretty interesting. And also, like, all the Boston people, because it showed, like, who, like, voted. Like, most of the Boston people were the ones that voted for Caleb Martin, too. So it was funny. Like, if you got the people, like, going against you saying, like, you should be the MVP, then it's like, damn, like, he probably should have got it. But, like, you know, like, all the, like, the Sun Sentinel dude and, like, the, like, Reggie Miller, the ESPN people, like, the ones that voted for Jimmy. But it was, like, the people from, like, the Boston reporters and the Boston newspapers were the ones that voted Caleb Martin, which I thought was pretty interesting. But overall, I think, you know, just kind of, you know, watching Caleb Martin, a player that, you know, everyone's running with the J. Cole story, basically gave him a shot because he played for the Hornets, North Carolina, J. Cole's team. it was just really cool, see that guy get an opportunity and kind of seize the moment and completely take over. So I think Caleb Martin was definitely the most fun player to watch.
Yeah, bro, that J. Cole agenda, pretty funny, man. I mean, but I'm trying to see just his Jimmy stats, what they were these conference finals. But I also did see, Jimmy averaged 24.7, 7.6 boards, 6.1 assists. Shot 42% from the field. So subpar for Jimmy shooting percentage wise. But
yeah, Caleb Martin was super efficient. I think I
60,
saw a post,
49, 88.
Yeah, I think he's the second most efficient jump shooter in the playoffs so far. Surprisingly, the only person he was behind is Derek White. But I think he was averaging 1.6 points per jump shot taken or something like that. So, I mean, he's super, super efficient.
Yeah, Caleb Martin, 19.3, 6.4 rebounds on 60% from the field, 49 from 3, and 88 from the line. Compared to everyone's been bringing out the Jaylen Brown comparisons. Jaylen Brown averaged 19, 6.1 on 42, 16% from 3, 67% from the field. He did have that hand injury, but Jaylen Brown did not show up. And social media was killing him last night with those turnovers. I mean, they were all on his head. Jaylen Brown couldn't do anything. Tatum obviously banged up. But at that point, Tatum was just nowhere to be found. At that point, I know you're a superstar, one of the best players in the world, but you had to realize he was doing worse for his team than good. He just wasn't helping. I mean, at that point.
I mean, it's unfortunate what happened with Jason Tatum, but I feel like that shit played perfectly into Jaylen Brown's favor, bro. A contract looming, he's trying to get paid. He made second team All-Pro. He wants that big paycheck. So all right, Game 7 in the playoffs, first play, the number one dude gets injured. He's not 100%. All right, now this is where Jaylen Brown has to step up. This is where he has to prove that he's worth that, supermax extension, that he is an all-NBA type player. And I know he had that hand injury coming into the playoffs, and then he cut his hand or something like that, and then he injured his hand again, which probably affected his dribbling. But I mean, that was his dominant hand, his right hand. Every single one of his turnovers, if you watch him again, it was him going left, bro. So it was his hand that wasn't injured. He just can't go left. That was every time he tried to make a move, he tried to dribble left, it was going off of his leg. He would just lose the ball. It was him going left. So
I don't think the hand was a problem for the turnovers. I was only saying the hand for the jump shots.
Well, I mean, if you have a fucking cut on, it might be hard to dribble, or it could affect you a little bit. But I can see if he's losing the ball going right. But when you're dribbling with your left hand, the hand that's not affected, or making a move going to your left, then that's where you kind of have the question. You think it made him
force him to use his left a little more than he probably wanted to, or?
Well, I mean, bro, you're an NBA player. You should be able to dribble with both hands. Honestly. You should be able to go left.
Ask Goran Dragic if he could go right, bro, because he couldn't.
And Goran Dragic was a supermax player. That's what we're saying. Man. You feel me? He's trying to get paid, which, I mean, I do think Jaylen Brown's he's a solid player and he's deserving to get paid, but I don't know if I would be willing to pay him that much money with also Tatum on the books as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. But I mean, this could have been a legacy game for Jaylen Brown, to prove all right, I'm a true number one. I can play make, I can create. Jason Tatum goes down. He's not 100%. It's okay. I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna be that guy for this team. And he just really wasn't, man. The Celtics were cold from three, and that the big thing for them this year was they live or die by threes. That one stat everyone's talking about, they shoot over 40% from three. They win. They had 36 wins or something like that this year. They had a bunch of wins. They didn't lose. Well, they just couldn't get the three ball falling. It was just a bad game. The offense just seemed very stagnant at times. Down the stretch, it looked like their best offense was Marcus Smart posting up Gabe Vincent. That was the play that was just if that happened, Marcus Smart's in the paint, it was all right, and one every time. Or Derek White.
Yeah.
finding an open shot, which
or
also
Al Horford just sitting in the corner.
Yeah, but like other than that, there was like I don't know. Celtics still couldn't figure out how to beat that zone, which everyone knew was coming. Like you knew Miami was gonna run that zone. They just couldn't break it, man. And Jaylen Brown just didn't step up, so it was unfortunate for the Celtics. Like if you're like, I don't know, like we were talking about this, bro. If you're a Celtics fan, bro, like I don't know, like this might be worse than getting swept, bro.
Honestly, yeah, it's just having all that momentum, saying like the Heat are kind of done for. They lost everything they had in the tank. They lost 3 in a row. Now we go back to the Garden. Like the Celtics got momentum. We took the life out of the Heat. Jimmy got nothing left in the tank. You kind of go out and show that you guys have nothing left in the tank. It's kind of like, dang, like we couldn't even do anything. We chucked up. I mean, even Barkley was mad at halftime. How many threes they were chucking up? 4 of like 25 at halftime. I mean, that's atrocious shooting. You don't attack the rim. And, I mean, most of Jaylen Brown's buckets, I know you're going to say 8 turnovers. He couldn't even get to the rim. But they were him attacking and him settling for that mid-range. It wasn't him chucking up those threes because he did it in the fourth quarter. Yeah, I mean, they were trailing big. They kind of needed him, but kind of saw him miss those. Like, suppose if he was getting into his, mid-range game, attacking the rim, you might stand a chance, maybe get that high screen and roll going and get them shooters open for the spot-ups. Just really wasn't going for him. So,
yeah, I mean, them not shooting good from 3 is ultimately, and the Celtics they were kind of like, it's like the tale of two teams, In the first 3 games, you kind of saw the Celtics that just rolled over and didn't really want to play hard. And then you saw that against the Atlanta Hawks where, Trae Young had a big game, hit a buzzer beater to win one of the games or whatever. But, I mean, the Hawks took them to 6 games. Could have been 7 if Trae Young didn't go cold in that game 6. But, I mean, and again, coming out, James Harden, he had a really big 2 games against the Celtics early. Celtics just kind of rolled. And then once again against the Heat, you see them early 3 games, they kind of roll over. Game 3, just like they gave up. But then you got the Celtics, whereas, they come back, they beat Atlanta. Jason Tatum has those 51 points against the 76ers. And then, that team comes back, ties the series up against Miami. So it was like game 7, you're like, bro, which team am I going to get? Like, hopefully, we can continue getting this hot Celtics team that can, figure stuff out, that actually look energized. But I don't know, man. I just feel like once Tatum went down, bro, the rest of the team was like, oh, fuck. Like, what do we do, bro? Like,
yeah.
Like, our best player just went down. Now everyone's kind of like searching, like, damn, like, who do we go to? Who's going to be our primary scorer? No one really stepped up. It was just unfortunate. And then after that, it's like not much they can do. And the Miami Heat, they just, like, that's a team kind of like we mentioned also the Denver Nuggets. Like, I was talking to my boy about this. He was like, we were just saying, like, if the Celtics end up coming back and end up winning, like, the Nuggets might like fuck around and sweep them, bro. Because like that's like a team you just can't roll over against. Like, if you take a game off or give up against Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets, fam, you looking at like a 30-point deficit in 1 quarter. You feel me? Like, ask the Lakers, fam. Like, they know, like, them boys just put up hella points. So the Miami Heat, they kind of just show that, yeah, if you're going to roll over against us, you might be better, like, talent-wise or, skill-wise on paper, but they wasn't going for it. They showed that, that Heat culture, everyone giving 100%, everyone's showing effort, hitting big shots, stepping up when it counts, and they kind of just, the Heat never rolled over. Even though they lost 3 straight games, it didn't feel like going into Game 7, the Miami Heat had no chance to win whatsoever. The Heat never looked like they gave up. The Heat kind of seemed like they were always going to be in this series. So it's the more, that's the coaching, consistency, the effort. You got Eric Spoelstra, one of the greatest coaches in NBA history at this point, considering, what he's done for the Miami Heat. And then Mazzulla, first-year coach, younger than the dudes playing on his team, second-row Joe. Apparently they were saying, like, Al Horford was the coach when they were called timeouts. Like, Al Horford and Marcus Smart were the ones, like, sitting in the coach's seat, and, like, Mazzulla just on the side, like, with his clipboard or whatever. So Bill Simmons was talking about on his podcast. Him and his dad were at the game. They were like, yeah, during the timeouts, Al Horford was the one sitting down in the coach's chair, like, calling the plays and actually coaching, while Mazzulla was like with his assistants and the clipboard on the side. So it was weird. It was a very interesting dynamic going on for that Celtics team. But ultimately, I just think, that togetherness and that effort the Heat showed was kind of just too much for them to overcome.
So apparently after Game 3, Al Horford
So
told Joe Mazzulla, he said, hey, we're not watching film.
Top Golf.
We got to go to Top Golf. Shit worked for 3 games. I can't lie. Al Horford clearly knows what he's doing, man. It took players to Top Golf, kind of got their minds out of the game, re-energized, and they kind of did it. And, I mean, I heard after every game, Jimmy was like, we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to go back there, drink some beers, listen to music. We're going to have a good time. Like, you got to disengage from the game. That's what a vet like Al Horford, I guess he knows compared to Joe Mazzulla's experience where, this late in the season, you might not be thinking about, like, team bonding. But, I mean, they got 3 games. Obviously, didn't work out for Game 7.
To Joe Mazzulla's,
it's not his
credit.
fault, bro.
I do think he kind of got an unfair shot. Kind of unfortunate what happened with Ime. In the beginning of the season, he was just, thrusted into being the coach. And they lost. They had no real other, coaches on his staff with real coaching experience. So he was kind of just, out there on his own. He didn't have really anyone else to lean on to kind of give him advice. I know Brad Stevens is there, but he's not on the coach. He's not on the sidelines all the time like the coaches. So it was tough. It's difficult. I think. Do you think Joe Mazzulla is back next season as the Celtics head coach?
I don't know, man. But if you really thought he was good enough to bring in this year, why would you say no? You were 1 game away from the finals, and he's only going to have more experience now, full off season. Do I think he's ready? No, but you gave him that shot anyways. I think just kind of taking him out now is going to mess everything up even more. So I think you kind of rock with him. He gets a full season. I mean, really, if he just knew when to call a timeout, I think he'd be fine. But he doesn't know when to do that, so...
Yeah, I mean, that just shows the inexperience and not having, someone else on the staff that he could kind of lean on that, has NBA experience that was maybe a former head coach or somebody. They had somebody on their staff. I forgot what his name was, but I guess he left and went to another team or something like that. So he was basically just out there by himself, on an island, that's something very, very hard to do, trying to coach the NBA team, not really having any experience, and then not having anyone else on your coaching staff that has that coaching experience. So they was kind of, just blindly doing this thing. So I do agree. I think he's back another year under his belt, gained a lot of experience from this playoff run. I think maybe they bring someone else in to help him, but at this point, all the coaches are getting hired. So,
yep.
I mean, what are you going to bring Doc Rivers back to Boston? I don't think that's going to be the option. So,
what I don't get, bro, is I think calling a timeout is probably the easiest thing to decide. In terms of NBA coaching, obviously I don't know much about it. But I feel like you kind of know when to call a timeout. I'm sitting there at home and I'm like, all right, the Celtics went on a little 8-0 run, timeout. What does Spo do? He's already on the court, calling a timeout.
Which was funny. Even last night when the game was over, there was 4 minutes, there was 3 minutes left.
We called a timeout.
The Celtics second unit went on a 4-0 run, and Spoelstra's on the court before they even get the ball past half court. It's timeout. He calling timeout, so this shit just doesn't matter. Which is funny. He just showed Spoelstra just didn't allow them to get any momentum. But I mean, like you said, bro, I'm not an NBA head coach. I'm not sure what he's worried about something else, or he's trying to figure other stuff out. I'm not too sure. Maybe some coaches have a routine, or they have somebody on that staff if you notice something, just give me a tap, a signal or whatever. But yeah, it's a lot. I'm sure a lot of different stuff goes on the sideline. They got a gazillion things running through their heads. So I do think experience, plays a very, very big role in that, kind of situation.
Yeah. So,
do you think Jaylen Brown is a Celtic next year?
Didn't we do this last? I don't think so. I mean, I don't see why you keep running back with this team.
Yeah.
Kind of 2 guys.
No, we did the Lakers last week with AD.
No, but we talked about Jaylen Brown
because you brought up a Jaylen Brown trade for AD. This is Now, like, do you think the Celtics run back Jaylen Brown?
I don't think so, man. I think they need to go out and kind of not a full rebuild, but I mean, you get rid of Jaylen Brown, like we can stop this discussion. Who's 1A, who's 1B? I even saw a meme today. It was like we're at this point in the cycle. Like Tatum has a god tier game. Jaylen Brown sucks. Get rid of Brown. Then it was like they both suck. Blow up the whole team. And then it was Jaylen Brown goes off. Tatum's really the sidekick. Like,
yeah,
it's really how it is. Tatum wants to play like Kobe, and then doesn't show up. Like, it really is, man. You never know what those two guys has been. You know, they're still young, but it's been like 5 years now or something. Like,
yeah, Tatum was drafted in 2018, so
5 years exactly. So, I mean,
and they have a lot of playoff experience. Like those guys have made
it's not
deep
like
runs every single year they've made in the playoffs. Like they've played a bunch of games.
I mean, he's probably got just as much, playoff experience as Jimmy does in his lifetime. Like,
probably.
I mean, Jimmy had some with the Bulls, with D Rose,
couple with the Sixers.
Oh yeah, the Sixers. See, I forgot about the Sixers, but they didn't really go deep.
No, yeah. Well, they made the second. That was in
It's when they lost to Kawhi in the the semifinals, the conference semifinals, because the Sixers never been to a conference finals with Joel.
Yeah, no, they haven't.
So they lost to Raptors in the first round.
The Raptors beat the Bucks right in the ECF that year. In 2019, I think.
Yeah, and then they went on to beat the Warriors, right?
Yeah, I think Giannis was hurt or something that year. Maybe, I don't know. But regardless, yeah. They do have a lot of playoff experience together. So, I mean, maybe a change of scenery would be good for Jaylen Brown. Maybe if he goes to a team, they're saying like Atlanta is a big favorite because, that's where he's from. A team like the Rockets who got a bunch of cap space, and he pair him back up with Ime.
He was checking those threes up for what, though, last night?
What do you mean?
You were saying last night when Jaylen Brown was checking up those threes.
Oh, yeah. He was getting ready to play with Trae Young, man. That's that Atlanta offense. Throwing up a bunch of 35-footers.
Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry to cut you.
No, that I was saying that, yeah. But, and then maybe a team like Portland. Apparently that number 3 pick is an option that's being shopped around. That could be a trade the Celtics look for. But I do think Jaylen Brown will be very valuable when he goes into kind of maybe a younger team or a team with no experience because he can lead guys in the postseason because he kind of, at this point, he knows how it goes. He's been to a finals. He's been to multiple Eastern Conference finals. So he knows what it takes to win in the playoffs. Now, can he get over, that final hump and win a championship? That's a different story. But he definitely has, playoff pedigree, playoff DNA. He has what it takes to maybe, lead a team, a younger team, to the playoffs and win a couple games. So I do think that is valuable, and that's probably the most valuable thing he has to offer at this point is if you bring him into an organization, say like the Trailblazers or the Hawks or, the Rockets who haven't really won anything, he'll bring in that winning DNA. So I think that'll be very helpful for Jaylen Brown in terms of, trying to find a team that, maybe he wants to take a step up and prove that he's that number one in lead. That'll be something he can lean on.
Yeah. Do you think 18 games is a big difference?
What? Well, that's the difference between Jaylen Brown and Kawhi. I mean, Jimmy.
So that was Tatum and Jimmy. And then Jaylen Brown, it's only a 7-game difference.
Yeah.
In experience.
18 games, yeah, that's like.
That's 1 year.
Yeah, that's like a whole year. So that's another whole year of seeing playoff games.
Jaylen Brown, we're talking one series. He's played in 105. Jimmy's played in 112. So, you can't say lack of experience in the playoffs.
No, I don't think that was ever a question.
No, I'm saying, so, how many times? 105 games. They've all been with the Celtics. Yeah. So, they have if you combine them, almost 200 games played together.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like that, but you get.
Yeah, in terms of total games.
Yeah. Played. So, it's like they got the experience. They've been in these situations. And it's like 5 years. How long do you really give that core? With the Heat, I guess you could say it's been like 4 years for Jimmy. He's elevated the team to the finals when, they were in the bubble and they were just like a middle of the pack seed.
Yeah.
He got him that first seed. and now as an 8 seed to be going back to the finals, something a team has never done before, I think you're in a different category compared to, Boston, who you said, they kind of milked it along the way.
I think didn't the Knicks make the finals as an 8 seed?
I don't.
I think they did, in the lockout
they only made
season.
to the conference finals. I think they only went to.
I don't know. I know that Knicks team was the only team
You're right.
Yeah, but I think they got swept or something in the finals.
Yeah, the New York Knicks.
But it was a weird season because it was a lockout. They only had a 50-game season or something like that.
Yeah, it was the 98-99 season.
Yeah. And
lost 5 games against the Spurs.
Yeah, but regardless, it's still a crazy feat, even if you are the second team.
Their record was 27-23.
Yeah. So you don't know. It wasn't a full, sample size in terms of an 82-game season.
Yeah, but so I mean, I think it's time. I think it's time. You move on, and I don't know where you go from that position, but why? Well, it just hasn't been it.
Yeah, I do think a change of scenery would probably be best for Jaylen Brown at this point. Yeah.
Yep. Any more Celtics Eastern Conference Finals you want?
No, I think that's pretty much touched everything.
Yep.
Move on to the big show.
NBA Finals, man. You said no one wants to listen to Kevin Harlan. Well, you don't have to anymore. Mike Breen, he'll be on play-by-play. Mr. Bang himself. Pause. So the Denver Nuggets versus Miami Heat. Jokic, obviously, a lot of discussions. He's putting up 70 against Bam. I think he puts up 70 against anybody, not actually 70, but he'll give you the work, bro, no matter what. I don't think it's about that. I think it's about limiting Jamal Murray and making sure those role players, kind of don't break out and have that Game 3 Gabe Vincent had against the Celtics where he went for 29 points in a blowout win. I think it's going to be limiting those guys. Jamal Murray, he's been probably the second hottest player in the playoffs. So it's not going to be an easy task to stop him. I think they're going to pull out all stops. I don't know how effective that 2-3 zone is going to be against the Nuggets because at that point, you just have Murray bring it up, get Jokic to play the middle.
You have Jokic, the ultimate fucking zone beater.
Exactly, bro. So, I think you're going to see a lot more man from the Heat.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see a bigger lineup. I don't know if that's going to consist of Kevin Love, Caleb Martin, more Highsmith on the court. But they're going to need that size and length because the Nuggets, they bring it. I mean, Jokic, you got Porter who's tall, Aaron Gordon. I mean, these are all
3-guard,
Yeah, these are Gordon, you can play small ball at the 5. These are guys that can all do it. Mm-hmm. Now, Gordon can't really shoot that well, but it makes up for it because Jokic can spray it with the best of them. So it's going to be tough matchup-wise. I think the Heat are going to make some lineup adjustments. Obviously, no Oladipo, no Hero.
Hero supposedly Game 3. Coming back Game 3.
Talk about rust. It's been months since he's played an actual NBA game.
Yeah, throwing him back into the finals should be interesting.
Yeah, I really don't like that. It's throwing out a play, but I don't think you have a choice right now.
Yeah, for the Heat at this point, they literally just need bodies. Their bench is looking kind of thin. So I definitely think Hero cracked rotation and help kind of guys be fresh and help that rotation. He'll be a big
Kyle Lowry minutes.
A big scoring boost, but ultimately I hate this matchup for the Heat in terms of that size. Like you mentioned, I think in the past 2 seasons or whatever, whenever the Heat played Jokic, he's dominated them apparently. So it's not a good matchup. And like you said, Bam, he is a really good defender. He plays physical, but he's undersized. Not really that, he's not big. He's not going to give you that length to kind of disrupt Jokic. And you saw Anthony Davis, who's probably the best defender in the playoffs up to that point. Even at that point, he was playing Jokic pretty well, but Jokic was still able to, easily get his spots, easily get what he want on the boards, putbacks, Anthony Davis made it look difficult at times, but ultimately, I mean, you saw Jokic have his way, and I mean, the Heat they don't like, after Bam, who's a solid defender, who I don't think is going to give Joker that much issues. Like, I mean, Zeller, you're going to throw Cody Zeller at Jokic, like Kevin Love. Like, I don't think these guys are the answers. So I think the biggest challenge is, and I mean, this is a challenge for anyone playing Nuggets, but the Heat specifically, like, what are they going to do with Jokic? Now, are they going to kind of go the Suns route where, what was that game? I think 3 or 4, I believe, in Phoenix when Jokic had like 50 points or whatever, but his assists were a little bit down and they were able to win because he wasn't able to affect the game. Like, maybe that's probably your best bet at that point, because what Jokic does so special is, he creates these open shots for everyone else. He gives, the guys like Bruce Brown, Jamal Murray, KCP, Aaron Gordon, like everyone, he gives all these guys great open looks because of his facilitating. So, I mean, I would just fucking face guard every single other person and just let Jokic try to beat you like by himself. Because if Jokic gets going and he can hit those guys backdoor open on the wing in the corner, it's just nothing you could do. So I would kind of just make Jokic beat you by himself, because if he gets those other guys going, there really is no way to stop this Nuggets team.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I mean, we both kind of agree on that. I mean, Jokic is going to let him get his, and don't let his teammates get going. That way in the fourth, you kind of know those guys really haven't taken too many shots this game. Let's lock in on Jokic.
Yeah. Let
those other guys beat us, and they're sitting there taking 4 shots through 40 minutes of the game. So
yeah, maybe try to have I don't know if this is gonna work, but maybe you want to see Jokic with maybe have 40 points and only 5 assists instead of his 30 and 10, because then he's getting everyone else involved, and those guys could be hitting threes and big momentum shots. Maybe you just kind of live with Jokic getting all his little jump hooks and easy layups in the paint, and kind of just try to outscore the Denver Nuggets. I really don't know what the Miami Heat are going to do. It's going to be tough, but I'm sure Spoelstra has something cooked up. I don't know, man, because seeing what he did against Anthony Davis, who was pretty much on a tear and was the reason the Lakers single-handedly won 2 series, because no one wanted to go in the paint. Just see Jokic dominate in the paint against him was kind of like, oh, shit. Like, if Anthony Davis can't give him any problems, I don't think there's anyone or anything that can.
I want to see if the Heat got a 2-1-2 zone defense in their bag, bro. 2-1-2. Saturday they're gonna have to throw everything at them. It's me when I used to play Madden. You gotta throw them exotic packages out there,
stuff they just haven't seen.
Yeah,
change it up. Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's gonna be tough. Obviously, want Martin to continue to hoop like he has. That's been phenomenal for the Heat. I want to see Bam kind of just get aggressive. I want to see him play a little angry, man. Just hold on to the basketball, take care of it. Same with Lowry. Just don't turn the ball over. They don't turn the ball over. They give themselves a better chance. I mean, the games they lost against the Celtics was not because they were shooting bad. It's because they had 15 turnovers. You can't give those freebies to Jokic and company. I mean, That's the one thing you can't let happen. Gabe Vincent's going to get a couple of days with that ankle. It's going to be big for him. I want to see Strus be able to find his shot. I mean, Duncan, I don't think he can find a shot any better right now. People could say Game 6. He missed those 2 open ones.
But before that, he only missed, 2 threes, I think?
Yeah, I mean, one of them was a
5
tough
for 9.
deep 3.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. The man was cooking.
He's shooting the ball really well.
Yeah, he's a shooter. Some are going to miss even at the wide open, the ones that they're supposed to hit. It's a 3 ball in the NBA. You can't make them all.
Yeah, and if Hero comes back Game 3, that's another 20 points per game right there.
Should be. Yeah,
I think at least if his fingers his shot should be somewhat better.
Yeah, I mean, at least attack the rim, be a threat, draw the defense in.
Playmaking here and there, you can do a little bit of that.
You just gotta, for Tyler Hero. I mean, if he comes back, I want to say it's kind of like Jaylen Brown. He needs to prove himself. It's a little hard with him to do it injured. I mean, you go back to the bubble, had a great run until the finals, and then in the finals against the Lakers, he was non-existent, nowhere to be found. Year after that, in the playoffs, when the Heat lost to the Celtics, he also got hurt in those playoffs too. I think forget what it was, but he was hurt, banged up then too. So it's like he's always been hurt in the most crucial times of the season for the Heat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, can you really see him healthy, fully up to it? I mean, is that the Tyler Hero we're going to forever get? Is a little injury-prone Tyler Hero? We'll see. I mean, like you say, he's 20 points when he's on the court and healthy. So it'd be interesting to see. I just, exotic. I don't know what Spo's cooking up right now. I mean, them boys are probably in Denver right now.
I do think we got the two best teams in the final in terms of, team basketball and the way these guys play together. The Heat culture, those guys stepping up. Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, Strus, and then, what the Denver Nuggets are doing, we talked about them and how all their players step up as well. So I do think we'll see a lot of good team basketball. I don't think there'll be too many, trying to isolate ball stoppers, anything like that. I think you'll see a lot of good fluid basketball.
Yeah, I mean, unless Jamal Murray just gets a hot hand and
then at that point it's still good basketball because he's going insane.
That's a good point, right? I mean, no, you're 100% right. I mean, the Celtics, they're shaky. It was just walk up, check up a three.
Yeah, they never really had a pace. Like one quarter, you'll see they're pushing the pace, going really fast, and other they're running plays when their first play went 10 seconds on the shot clock. So it looked like they didn't really know what they were doing or what kind of pace they wanted to get into. But the Nuggets, you'll see fucking Jokic running the break. They're going every game, and the Heat can also kind of go, but you do see them slow it down at times where they're trying to run those plays, get those open looks, give the extra pass, find the best shot on the court. So I think it'll be a good series. You know what?
Kevin Love, he was non-existent in the Celtics series. I think he gets a little more minutes this series.
I think he has to just because of the size.
You think about Jokic, he's also one of the best outlet passers. The Heat, they want to push the tempo. Kevin Love, one of the best outlet passers. You mentioned that size. They're going to need the boards.
Yeah.
While he might not be able to guard Aaron Gordon, if you kind of put him in that zone and have him sit in that corner, it is going to be tough. They probably go to man at that point, and then you're worried about the blow-by. So do you put him on Jokic? I mean, they kind of move at a similar speed, but it's like Jokic's ball skills and just ability.
Jokic will kill that shit.
Exactly. I mean, so I'm going to be interested to see what Spo really has cooking up. One of the best minds in the game. If it's anybody, he'd be the one guy that could cook up a win on the road. So I think, kind of my prediction, I think the Heat take game one shockingly. Take game one, rust over rest. We talked about that. You said you didn't think the Nuggets. I think the Heat come out, pull out game one, gritty game. Then I think the Nuggets go get two. Then they get game 2 and 3. And then from that point on, I mean, the Heat, they got to win game 4. I mean, I'm hoping the Heat win in 7. I say they come back from a 3-2 deficit against the Nuggets. It's going to be tough to see that. But, I mean, that's really picking with my heart at this point. But Heat in 7, that's kind of my little prediction. But I doubted them to this point, so maybe if I pick them, they'll finally lose. But, I mean, I just can't pick against them in the finals, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, bro. The home, like you mentioned, hometown team. I think it'll be fun to see the Heat win. We want Jimmy to get that ring. So I think if the Heat do win, it'll ultimately be in a 7-game fashion. It'd have to be some crazy shit. It'd have to be insane, which we've seen the Heat. To this point, they're the 8th seed in the finals. We've seen some crazy shit from the Heat. So I think it's possible, but ultimately, man, the Nuggets are just – Jokic is just so good. The way they're playing, everyone's just so in tune. That offense is so fluid. I think the Nuggets get it done in maybe 5 games.
I was just about to say realistic pick would be like Nuggets in 5.
Back at home in Denver. Maybe, the game Tyler Hero comes back. He gives them the spark. They put up a bunch of points. They play a good game in Miami and they win one. But I just don't know any team right now that can give this Nuggets team, a true test. And maybe that'll be the Heat, but I think the Nuggets handle business pretty efficiently.
Yeah, You're just gonna have to pull out shit you never seen from the bag, bro. It's
So it's gonna take to beat them.
yeah, it really just. I mean, the Nuggets. It's really their year to lose, in a sense. Now, for the Heat, the Nuggets win. It depends. Like, if it's a 4-game blowout sweep, like, you can't tip your cap at that point. I mean, it was a great season. But if they're grinding out close games like they kind of did against the Lakers, and that's, like, one of those sweeps, like, where there's 3 games, I mean, that could have swung the other way. I mean, you kind of tip your cap to them. I mean, they're the better, more talented, deeper roster, more healthy. They got everything going for them right now. So
yeah, it's not gonna be like that Boston series where you're like, damn, if it's a close game, like he can like easily pull this one out.
Yeah,
like
it's
they
one
wanted
where
to be one of the
Nuggets
close. Yeah, like if it's a close game, like the Nuggets,
they got the better odds, bro, for sure, because they got a closer in Jamal Murray
and in Jokic.
I mean, yeah, but he's all time. Like, he's not even like a. I wouldn't even think like he could go get a bucket. I mean, he closed against the Lakers. I get what you're saying, but
yeah, but they got no. I'm not taking nothing away from Jamal Murray. But I'm saying add Jokic to that list. They got.
Yeah, I mean, they got depth, bro. They just got depth. KCP, he could go get a bucket. He's a vet. He's been in this situation before, like
has finals experience. Yep.
So, I mean, shit, the dude's played with an ankle monitor on before. I mean, I think he's good without it. Like, it's just facts, bro.
Has that championship pedigree too. So
yeah, no doubt. But yeah, man, really trying to get the Heat to pull one out. Game 3, bro. I was looking at tickets. You want to take a guess lowest price for the bleeds?
What, like 2 bands?
No, it's 400.
Oh, 400?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still tax.
I mean, like, level 100, I think the cheapest ticket was like $900. Yeah. Needless to say, I've been to every round so far. I want to be going to the finals, man. I'll be enjoying from the comfort of our county, man. But, you got any last things you want to say before we sign off?
Nah, man, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Goal2Go pod on TikTok, man. You already know what to do. Like, comment, share, show a friend. Goal2Go, YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, all that. Tune in. NBA Finals, man. Summer is here.
It'll be fun.
Hopefully, we'll be back, man, in between game 2 and 3. So after game 2 and before 3, with another episode. Until next week, man. Episode 43, Goal2Go. Appreciate everyone tuning in. And Dale Heat, man.